The world as we know it is undergoing great changes. Technology and science are rapidly transforming our lives, and the pace is often disorientating. Innovations used wisely can open the door to a new era of extraordinary opportunity. This revolution has been fueling the creativity of men and women around the globe. These visionaries are inventing and implementing new solutions. So open your eyes and get ready for an amazing journey to 2050 to dream the future. Whether for work, to transport goods, or just to go on vacation. We are always on the move. Transportation rules our lives.
How we feel about transportation, how long it takes, how angry it makes us, how happy it makes us, really makes your life good or bad.
As we enter the 21st century, the situation is critical. CO2 emissions are skyrocketing. Climate change is a reality. Our existing modes of transport have reached their limits. So what will happen tomorrow in 2050 when the population reaches more than 9 billion, with 2 out of 3 people living in urban areas?
Think about how different New York, or Paris, or Milan, or Singapore for that matter, would be if we were to remove 8 cars out of 10 and still take everybody to destination exactly when they need to be there.
Traveling even faster, even further for less money. Is this fantasy? Is the future of transportation anything like what science fiction has imagined? At the turn of the 3rd millennium, we certainly have to reinvent our current modes of transport to meet new social, demographic, economic, and above all, environmental challenges. The future you're about to discover is astonishing. Human and technological ventures around the world tell the story of tomorrow's transportation.
J'avais envie de créer un petit peu une rupture et de changer la façon de voler.
If I close my eyes, then I see ships that are not only propelled by diesel engines, but are using the natural powers of the wind, the sun, and any other power that we can come up with.
I think in many ways we will be going back to the values that you found in cities before the car, but we'll take advantage of all these new systems and all these new technologies.
Driven by their vision, these trailblazers follow in the footsteps of the innovators who, since the dawn of humankind, have dreamt the future and shaken the world. By standing up more than 4 million years ago, one of our ancestors triggered the first revolution in transportation. Since then, we humans, curious and clever like apes, have never stopped inventing new ways to get around. We've built canoes, then added sails to our boats more than 5,000 years ago. On land, the invention of the wheel in Mesopotamia overturned concepts of transportation. Chariots and carriages have become increasingly sophisticated over centuries. Going new places, going further. This dream continues to fuel innovation and ingenuity, whatever the chosen path. In the 11th century, the Chinese compass revolutionized ocean navigation. It was now possible to conquer the world without getting lost. Achieving this took countless dreamers and curious minds encountering other curious minds on their travels, exchanging ideas to meet new challenges and change the world. And so in 1769, Nicolas Cugnot invented the first steam-powered vehicle. This meant less reliance on draft animals. Other inventors like the Montgolfier brothers dreamed of leaving the fields behind. In the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution was underway. everything accelerated. In 1829, George Stephenson rocket-marked the beginning of the passenger trains. In Paris, Étienne Lenoir started work on the internal combustion engine. Gustave Trouvé presented the first electric vehicle, and Carl Benz put a gasoline engine into an automobile. For his part, Clément Ader took off in the first motorized plane. Throughout the 20th century, ever-increasing numbers of passengers and goods were transported around the world.
Les flux ont pris tellement d'importance qu'il y a peut-être un besoin d'un retour vers quelque chose de plus calme.
Quieter, but how? How can we reduce congestion in the heart of megacities that keep getting bigger? Urban travel often causes stress and worry. Moving more and more people around, creating a more complex infrastructure, managing the risk of accidents and pollution, all of these problems must be dealt with at once. Science fiction promised us flying cars in the cities of the future. Will we one day climb into those vehicles? Are they real solutions for megacities?
What the hell was that?
Taxi cab.
What do you mean a taxi cab? I thought we were flying.
Precisely.
Prototypes already exist, like the Aeromobile. However, none of them seem to generate interest.
On pourrait dire que c'est pas forcément une bonne voiture quand on voit les projets, que c'est pas forcément un bon avion non plus. Donc il y a aussi cet écueil-là, que c'est une espèce de croisement d'hybridation qui fonctionne bien dans l'idée, et qui fonctionne techniquement, puisqu'il y a des projets depuis longtemps de véhicules volants. Mais finalement, on se retrouve avec ces enjeux de régulation, d'infrastructure, et qui, pour se déployer de manière exclusive, semble friser l'absurde.
If the flying car isn't the future, what other ideas could help reduce traffic congestion?
We really need to move off of this system that we have today, because we were promised, that cars brought independence, and that probably was true in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, but we all know that most of us, our driving is in very dense traffic. It's not a pleasure, it's very expensive and time-consuming.
Est-ce que finalement, le symbole de liberté que représentait l'automobile ne s'est pas déplacé vers les systèmes de communication à distance? Toutes ces petites choses, tous ces équipements qu'on a sur nous, le smartphone, la tablette, l'ordinateur portable, etc. Donc du coup, si ce temps de déplacement, ça devient une espèce de temps libre, un temps de loisir pour peu qu'on ait un petit peu de confort, pourquoi chercher à le minimiser? Et ça, c'est aussi un des problèmes qu'a l'automobile actuellement, parce que quand on se déplace en automobile, on continue assez largement à perdre son temps.
Yesterday, a symbol of social success, the car around which we designed and built our cities is no longer the stuff of dreams. To stay relevant and generate desire, manufacturers have promised a revolution with ultra-smart cars. This Mercedes prototype, for example, has already traveled 100 kilometers by itself. Soon, you should be able to travel by car almost without touching the wheel. This is the promise of the connected, autonomous car. New vehicles packed with sensors and integrated information systems. Please go ahead. We are told they will be faster, safer, more fuel efficient and interactive than ever before. This car is a turning point in its history, but the urban vehicle of the future could look completely different. Boston, known as the Athens of America, is home to the oldest and most prestigious university campus on the East Coast. MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, is a temple of innovation. The philosophy there is to tear down the walls between disciplines. In his lab, Kent Larson and his team are inventing the city and urban transportation of tomorrow.
In many cities, something over 50% of the land is devoted to streets and parking and driveways and infrastructure related to machines, not people. We started thinking about these issues over 10 years ago. And at that point, there was just beginning to be this notion of the shared economy. This idea that you could go to a bike-sharing hub or where a shared vehicle is parked. They would, by definition, need to be in high-value parts of the city because that's where the people are, that's where the demand is. We quickly realized that when they're parked, they occupy way too much space. So we developed the city car, which would fold to a very tiny package. Tremendous advantage because then you can provide much more service without using up more land in the city. Once you then can deploy very low-cost autonomy, and the vehicle can come to you wherever you are, you no longer need to fold the vehicle because it is never stationary, it's never stored in a high-value part of the city. So our research focus shifted from folding to occupy less space to low-cost autonomy to move people and goods such that you never needed to store the vehicle in a high-value part of the city. The PEV is a persuasive electric vehicle because we were designing a vehicle to persuade people to adopt more sustainable modes for the city on the one hand, and also persuade people to get more physical exercise.
The PEV is an ultralight tricycle, pedal-powered or electric and completely autonomous. Intended for shared use, it will always be on the move. At night, it will go charge itself on the outskirts of urban areas. During the day, it will switch between handling passengers and goods, depending on peak hours.
Picks me up wherever I am, drops me off where I want to go. I don't have to think about locking it, parking spaces, empty slots, insurance, maintenance. It's kind of the ultimate personal mobility.
The PEV's electronics are derived from smartphone technology. They're affordable and accessible to the general public. Besides its low cost, the idea is that the vehicle will travel at low speeds. That way, it won't have to be equipped with the powerful, but extremely expensive, detection and analysis systems found in autonomous car prototypes that travel much faster.
One of the reasons why we are interested in this low-speed persuasive electric vehicle, the PEV, because it's capable of operating at the speed that is now the average speed of automobiles within the city. So we have vehicles capable of high speeds that goes, in many cases in the city, very quickly between intersections, and then you stop at the intersection. If all of those vehicles traveled at 12, 15 miles an hour, you would just have this fluid, safe motion. The vehicles could share the space with pedestrians and with bicycles, but the traffic would flow just as well.
Tomorrow, MIT's odd tricycle will be part of a city far different from that of today. Thousands of connected objects like it will populate sprawling networks that will transform cities into self-organizing systems.
The way of moving, the way of working, the way of meeting people, the way of shopping, all of that is different than what it was 10 or 15 years ago. Well, all of this technology is now entering physical space. It's what people call the beginning of ubiquitous computing, where computing enters everywhere. Another way to put it is to call about the internet, but not the internet as we knew it in the past, but the internet of things, the internet of everything around ourselves. Now, when that happens, this allows you to run and operate your cities in a different way, and this is what people usually refer to as smart or sensible cities.
This smart city will analyze and adapt in real time to the flow of humans and machines to make them more efficient, smoother, and less energy intensive. But in order to successfully merge the physical and digital worlds, the issue of transportation and urban planning must be considered together. To this end, Kent Larson and his team have designed highly innovative, interactive platforms using Lego bricks and augmented reality. All sorts of data relating to human activities and the flow of energy and transportation are projected on the surface of scale model communities. Simply by moving the blocks, the team can observe in real time the changes that are caused.
When you combine better urban planning with shared use systems using advanced technologies, then I think we can get to an entirely new and even disruptive pattern that will make life much better and dramatically reduce resource consumption.
Returning city residents to their rightful place, giving them access to various means of transportation that can be combined and used as they wish or need in order to get around everywhere, all the time, without a car. That dream is already underway. The project, led by Kent Larson, is also part of a general trend seen in most Western capitals: sustainable mobility. To make cities breathable again, public spaces are now progressively reclaimed where polluting vehicles used to prevail. Residents rediscover the joy of walking in an urban area. They use various means of private transportation. Alongside rollerblades, scooters and skateboards, new light electric vehicles are emerging, some stranger than others, and prefigure the eco-mobility of tomorrow. They all meet the same specification, creating a car-free city.
C'est vraiment l'idée qu'il n'y a pas une grosse motorisation de la vitesse, du bruit, des nuisances qui vont avec la mobilité. C'est une belle idée, finalement, cette mobilité douce.
When we travel only by car in between places, we only see a very small set of people. And so living in places where you have this slow movement, that, as I say, it's very pleasant, right? We like to see people and bump into them.
The Netherlands have long demonstrated what a car-free city can look like. Here, bicycles are far more than a means of transportation. They are an integral part of the Dutch lifestyle and culture. Dutch residents cycle more than 850 kilometers per year. Bikes are so popular here that they've changed the way cities look. Around big transportation hubs like the Amsterdam train station, movement is constant. Floating facilities can accommodate several thousand bikes per day. But some designers are going even further and try to combine their passion for bikes and sustainability.
Stay close to nature, it's always the best solution there is. Our roots are in nature and we are nature. I'm Jan Gunneweg and I'm 33 years old. I designed a sustainable wooden bike. At the first time when I thought about a wooden bike, I was actually thinking about the whole process of a steel bike. With a lot of power and energy, you create steel. And then you have, like how you make a wooden bike, just a tree, a nice forest. You know, wood is only using sunlight, water, and CO2, and that's it. On this way, it's so wonderful to grow your own bike, you know. Well, I love wood because it's so warm, strong, and flexible too, and don't gonna make a lot of noise. It's very quiet, so that's what I like.
The Bow bike is a good example of sustainability. Made of 95% wood, it's completely recyclable. The parts are put together like the pieces of a puzzle and can easily be replaced.
The Bow bike is not just a bike, it's the whole mindset behind it.
What if that was the future of urban mobility? A radical attitude and a clear statement. Everybody walk, everybody cycle.
It used to be at this moment to go as fast as possible from home to work and don't think about anything. And that's also very important, that you relax on your bike, have a nice ride and have a nice time. It's very, very quiet because the wood is absorbing all the vibrations. So you can hear the birds. Well, for me it's very interesting what will be the next step in the bike's world. Maybe I can think about something, but maybe also a lot of other people who like cycling will invite some new things.
Qui aurait dit il y a 15 ans que l'utilisation du vélo allait se développer, que la marche à pied allait représenter à nouveau une part de l'ordre de 30 à 40% des déplacements en milieu urbain. Personne n'aurait parié un clou là-dessus. Ça montre que les choses ne sont pas nécessairement écrites et que, effectivement, les mentalités peuvent peut-être changer plus vite qu'on ne le croit et de façon différente que ce qu'on imagine au départ.
And up in the sky, what will the planes of tomorrow look like? That's the wonderful dream Bertrand Piccard and André Boschberg had when they set out to be the first to fly around the world in a solar-powered plane. But will this exciting technological and human challenge be able to address the issues that will affect air transport in 2050? Will it be possible to transport 700 passengers using solar energy alone? That might be enough to supply electricity to the cabin, but propelling a jumbo jet is a different story. In 2050, there will be a lot of people to transport. In the aviation industry, for the next few decades, all systems are go. Since the 1950s, neither wars nor energy crises could halt the irresistible rise of the airplane. Air traffic increases 5% per year. By the year 2030, more than 6 billion passengers will be travelling by plane. Yet the price of oil is hanging over our heads. Today, the plane is the only means of mass transportation for which there is no alternative to oil.
Le transport aérien, il est complètement paradoxal parce qu'effectivement, il explose, il est complètement dépendant du pétrole et il n'est pas pris en considération dans les accords sur le climat. Donc effectivement, grâce à ça, tout va bien. C'est-à-dire qu'on ne compte pas ces émissions dans la réduction des gaz à effet de serre. Le secteur de l'aérien est sorti du calcul. Donc ça lui permet effectivement de vivre un peu sur une autre planète. Maintenant, est-ce qu'il est possible de propulser des avions par d'autres sources énergétiques? Dans l'aérien, on peut se demander s'il n'est pas en sursis de ce point de vue-là.
The Efan is a prototype aircraft specifically designed for 100% electric propulsion. It's the first of its kind. Equipped with 2 mini turbines, this small aircraft is the first of a new generation of zero-emission planes. Packed with technology, this flying laboratory intended for mass production is Airbus Group's way of opening up the aviation sector to electric propulsion. The Efan Project is being developed by a small team led by pilot Didier Sten, who also designed the prototype, and his usual accomplice, Francis de Boord, in charge of building it.
J'avais envie d'être le plus silencieux, le moins polluant possible, et en même temps de pouvoir créer un avion dynamique. Quand j'y ai pensé et que j'ai commencé à le dessiner, j'ai d'abord pensé aux batteries.
On tourne la vis de ton côté, c'est toi qui vis pendant qu'on lève. Alors, tourne la table.
Le poids, c'est l'ennemi en aviation, et c'est ce qui rend les choses difficiles. La correspondance entre l'énergie développée par une batterie et celle développée par 1 kg de carburant fossile est de 1 à 20, c'est-à-dire que pour 1 kg de carburant fossile, il faut pratiquement 20-25 kg de batterie.
On a dans l'Efan 167 kg de batterie. On pourrait en mettre plus, mais on est limité par la masse. Donc il y a un moment, si on rajoute de la batterie pour avoir l'autonomie, on rajoute tellement de masse que l'avion perd ses performances.
The team worked for months to strike that delicate balance. Now the Efan has a 50-minute autonomy.
Pour gagner du poids, on a fait un avion qui est entièrement en composite fibre de carbone. Il n'y a pas un seul élément métallique dans la structure de l'avion. Le deuxième défi, c'était l'intégration de toute la partie électrique, les batteries, l'isolation par rapport à la structure et l'isolation de tous les circuits électriques.
L'aviation, avant tout, c'est effectivement une histoire humaine et extraordinaire parce que, en règle générale, quand on fait de l'aviation, c'est qu'on a une passion, une envie. Et donc, quand on est passionné et quand on y arrive, ça forge une philosophie, un caractère et une idée d'équipe.
Il faut penser qu'on est une société de 10 personnes et on est parti d'une feuille blanche pour arriver à un avion électrique relativement innovant, très innovant.
J'aime fabriquer, inventer des choses. C'était comme ça quand je jouais au Lego, au mécano. Alors, je ne pense pas que ça changera, ou un jour je me fatiguerai peut-être, mais pas encore. Alors, comme l'aviation était une passion depuis tout petit, eh bien, l'idée de dessiner, de créer, de faire voler des avions, qu'ils soient en papier, en carton, en bois, en balsa, en aluminium ou autre, ça ne m'a jamais quitté. Il y a un vrai plaisir, un bonheur, peut-être même une jubilation à piloter un avion qu'on a dessiné, qu'on a construit avec une équipe et qu'on met en vol. En plus, il se trouve que celui-ci est particulièrement silencieux et on a plus le sentiment d'être dans un planeur motorisé que dans un avion classique.
Tu peux donner une indication de vitesse à Nemo ici, s'il te plaît?
Pendant le vol, on est suivi en télémétrie par des collaborateurs qui sont eux aussi passionnés et qui prennent garde à tout ce qui se passe. Et c'est grâce d'ailleurs à cette mise en œuvre aujourd'hui qu'on est arrivé à faire 112 vols et 50 heures, un peu plus de 50 heures en sécurité.
Light, energy efficient and quiet, the Efan is a success. In July 2015, the small electric twin-engine aircraft crossed the English Channel, a feat worthy of the greatest aviation pioneers.
Des gens m'ont dit « Ah, mais tu es le nouveau Blériot ». Mais non, je ne suis pas le nouveau Blériot, parce que le courage, la volonté qu'il fallait à l'époque, en 1909, pour traverser la Manche, avec un tout petit avion, c'était considérable. Et puis lui, il n'avait pas une équipe autour. Il a traversé, il s'est posé dans un champ où il y avait un journaliste qui lui a indiqué le sens du vent avec un drapeau, et encore, il a cassé l'avion parce que le champ n'était pas en bon état.
Bravo! Bravo! On l'a fait! On l'a fait!
L'Efan qui vole aujourd'hui est un prototype et c'est une machine à apprendre. Et donc, toutes les données électriques permettent de faire une analyse très pointue, très approfondie et très soutenante pour tous les projets futurs. Tout ce qu'on apprend aujourd'hui, tout ce qu'on engrange comme savoir à ce niveau-là est extrêmement important.
2- and 4-seater Efans will be mass-produced for private and professional pilot training. Ultimately, Airbus plans to design hybrid planes with 100 seats for regional airlines. Manufacturers innovate all the time to improve design and engines and to minimize fuel consumption. Hybrid propulsion isn't the only avenue they explore. Hydrogen fuel cells are too complex for general deployment. But the alternative to oil could come from the sea, thanks to a new family of algae-based biofuels produced in offshore farms using no farmland or drinking water. The very concept of the plane could also be completely rethought. The idea behind Clipper is to make air transport as flexible as rail transport. This modular aircraft has a flying wing to which up to 3 capsules transporting cargo or passengers can be attached as necessary. It could transport as many passengers as 3 medium-range airliners with half as many engines.
C'est aussi une manière d'envisager justement cette interface terre-air, parce que ces capsules pourraient être tantôt clipsées sous une aile volante porteuse, mais pourquoi pas ne pas les imaginer dans un train de marchandises. Donc cette vision est assez intéressante. Et là, les mots-clés sont flexibilité, modularité, multimodalité.
In the meantime, air transport seems to impose increasingly prohibitive rates upon passengers and could ultimately become elitist. So what else might transportation look like? We will break free of vehicles, time and distance and teleport like characters from Star Trek or the movie They Live.
I don't know how it works exactly, but it has to do with some sort of gravitational lens deal, bending the light or some damn thing. But you can move from place to place, world to world if you want to. You see, the whole thing, it works like one big airport.
On est très loin de savoir faire ce qu'on met très loin de savoir faire ce qu'on voit dans Star Trek. Juste un point quand même pour vous montrer que les progrès techniques posent toujours des questions éthiques. Imaginez que vous ayez une machine à vous téléporter. Cela veut dire que vous assassinez la personne à l'endroit où elle est pour la reproduire à l'endroit où elle veut aller.
If teleportation isn't the answer, then what kind of scenario are we moving toward?
Ce serait un scénario où finalement la mobilité, c'est en 2050 beaucoup plus une mobilité des objets, des idées, des capitaux qu'une mobilité des personnes. Où les personnes seraient connectées mais se déplaceraient relativement peu dans l'espace et les objets se déplaceraient.
Among these objects are drones, coming in all shapes and sizes. They will fly above cities and countryside. Once restricted to military use, these unmanned aircrafts now have new missions, monitoring crowds and crops, assessing technical infrastructure, land management and communication networks. Their scope of application is very broad and sometimes unexpected.
112 operator, what is your emergency?
It's my dad. I think he had a heart attack.
The ambulance drone, developed in the Netherlands, can deliver a defibrillator to the scene of a cardiac arrest at 62 miles per hour. It includes a webcam and loudspeaker, which allows trained personnel to give instructions remotely. This drone will save precious time and multiply by 10 the chances of patient survival. Soon, these weird technological creatures will become indispensable. Like a swarm of bees, drones will buzz all around us. So how will we deal with the procession of thousands of flying robots?
Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire qu'une ville dans laquelle il y a des drones en termes d'infrastructure? Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire aussi nos usages à nous en tant qu'individus? Ce qu'il y a de certain, c'est que ce ne sera pas possible de laisser ça dans une forme de laisser-faire généralisé, parce qu'il y aura des collisions, il y aura des problèmes.
Several research projects, such as the one here at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne, explores the issues of swarming drones. Researchers are trying to develop systems in which flight management can be achieved without resorting to a central computer. Whether there are 10 or 1,000 drones in the sky, each one should learn to avoid the other on its own, autonomously, by studying the environment and communicating with the rest of the swarm. Today, most drones can only fly in open spaces, but the Swiss startup Flyability has an original approach that will allow them to go everywhere.
Ce qui est fascinant avec les insectes, c'est leur capacité à voler absolument n'importe où. Ça, c'est ce qu'on a voulu reproduire. Et ce qu'on a remarqué, c'est ce qui leur permettait de le faire, c'était leur capacité de survivre aux collisions.
Et c'est donc en essayant de répliquer ces capacités qu'on est arrivé à la conclusion nous devons construire un robot volant capable de résister aux collisions. La manière dont nous avons réalisé ça dans ce robot, c'est principalement le découplage d'une cage extérieure autour du robot par rapport à l'intérieur. Un découplage, ça veut dire que lorsqu'on a une collision sur le robot, uniquement cette cage extérieure va commencer à tourner, va être perturbée, alors que l'intérieur, la partie volante finalement du robot, restera complètement stable et ne va même pas ressentir cette collision. Le but de ce drone, c'est d'avoir un drone qui permette d'accéder pour de l'exploration ou de l'inspection à des lieux où aucune autre technologie ne peut aller. Les drones actuels sont tout à fait appropriés pour voler dans les espaces très ouverts, à l'extérieur, là où on a un réseau GPS, là où il n'y a pas de nombreux obstacles. Et nous, on a construit un robot qui peut aller dans ces endroits confinés, qui peut aller à l'intérieur, qui peut se glisser dans un tuyau, dans un réservoir, voler le long d'une surface, rouler en plus de voler. Et finalement, ça en fait un outil qui est très facile à utiliser pour son pilote, parce qu'il n'y a pas de conséquences négatives à une petite erreur de pilotage.
La catastrophe de Fukushima a bien réveillé le monde de la robotique, qui s'est rendu compte qu'en fait, il n'était pas encore prêt à fournir des outils pour ce genre de situation extrême.
Les robots volants qui ont été utilisés à Fukushima n'ont pas pu ramener ces images de détails de la situation qui était nécessaire à ce moment-là parce qu'ils ne pouvaient pas accéder plus proche, parce qu'en accédant plus proche, ils se retrouvaient dans un environnement où les collisions étaient impossibles à éviter.
Dans quelques dizaines d'années, les drones auront des rôles qu'on n'imagine même pas aujourd'hui. Ça s'appellera plus des drones, ça s'appellera un outil à faire ceci où il y aura des nouveaux noms. Mais clairement, il suffit de voir l'essor qu'ils ont aujourd'hui pour se rendre compte de leur potentiel.
Drones are on the rise. Major transport and logistics companies, as well as e-commerce giants, have clearly understood their potential. They see drones as the future of delivery and spend millions of dollars on projects that seem ready for takeoff. The promise is always the same, being able to deliver anything and everything in record time wherever you are, even in the Australian outback, by tracking the signal from your mobile phone. But while they might be efficient, current drones can only transport small objects. They cannot be used for freight transport. Your clothes, the TV and the sofa in the living room, the coffee you're drinking, the gas in your car, and the metal it's made of. 90% of raw materials and manufactured goods are shipped from around the world by sea. Sea freight is the backbone of the world economy. More than 100,000 cargo ships travel the world at all times. These giants burn thousands of tons of highly polluting heavy oil. Each year they emit the equivalent of 1 billion tons of CO2. To ensure a successful energy transition and head towards green shipping, the maritime industry has to develop new ships.
Il va falloir essayer d'avoir des formes de bateaux qui pénètrent dans l'eau le plus facilement, ou pourquoi pas, et j'en suis persuadé, s'élever dans l'air en s'appuyant sur l'eau. C'est aujourd'hui le cas déjà pour pas mal de bateaux, des bateaux de course, des bateaux de transport de passagers aussi. Ça, c'est une évidence qu'on va essayer d'avoir des bateaux qui vont traîner le moins possible dans l'eau, et ensuite qui vont essayer de trouver des solutions de propulsion les plus efficaces possibles.
Researchers outdo each other in terms of inventiveness, coming up with ships that combine innovative shapes and alternative propulsion systems. Planet Solar completed the first solar-powered journey around the world. And Sky Sail's project uses a large foil kite to take advantage of high-altitude winds.
Ça, le vent, c'est à peu près une certitude. Quoi qu'il se passe dans les dérèglements climatiques, enfin, on peut imaginer tous les scénarios, le vent, il y en aura a priori toujours. Autant s'en servir.
The fascinating stuff about using wind as power for propulsion is that it's for free. I'm Thijs Nichols, and I'm 49 years old. I know that I wanted to be a navigator before I could walk or speak. Our normal business is designing super yachts powered by the wind, sailing yachts. And we came upon a study back in the 60s from the last century, done in Germany. And that was a study for cargo ships, never built. And we now use that concept again to design future cargo vessels.
It's called the WASP, which stands for Wind-Assisted Ship Propulsion. The system relies on a set of rotating masts. In a fully automated process, depending on the winds, the sails furl and unfurl entirely inside the masts.
It's hybrid in the sense that both the wind and normal propulsion is used as a combination. And by using that combination, we can reduce fuel consumption and still adhere to the time frame that these cargo ships have to match. The rigging is already working on a sailing yacht called Maltese Falcon. There the yards and masts are made of carbon fiber. And it's been sailing around for almost 10 years now. And luckily no problems. And a lot of data coming back from the ship that we can use in the design of the WASP. If you combine sail-assisted propulsion with new technology in routing software, you have the perfect match. That means that you do not go in a straight line from A to B, but you take the route that is the most effective for the reduced fuel consumption. We calculated on the route of the Atlantic, we get to saving of about 35% of fuel.
Il y a quelque chose qu'il faut bien comprendre aussi, les transports vont aller de plus en plus vite. Et plus on va vite, plus on a du vent de face. Donc c'est une évidence qu'il faudra gérer cet aérodynamisme des bateaux de manière la plus efficace pour dépenser le moins d'énergie possible.
With its unique shape, the Norwegian ship concept Windship goes even further. This 653-foot hybrid vessel will be able to transport 6,800 cars using its hull as a giant sail. Depending on the wind's angle of attack against the hull, it will flow faster on one side than on the other. This difference in speed will create an atmospheric depression, which in turn will propel the ship forward. This revolutionary project is already being tested in a water tank in Norway. Computer simulations have revealed its huge potential. On a 23-day trip between Japan and Chile, Windship would use 3 times less fossil fuel than a regular cargo ship.
Il faut travailler sur le véhicule en tant que bateau, mais il faut aussi réfléchir dans une logique de système. Finalement, j'ai une flotte de X bateaux qui doivent répondre à des besoins de mobilité et transporter Y containers de certaines zones du globe vers d'autres zones du globe. Comment est-ce que je peux optimiser les routes? Comment est-ce que je peux optimiser les itinéraires en fonction de la météo? Il y a un potentiel majeur, je dirais, au niveau de l'innovation plutôt opérationnelle. Là, on parle plutôt de logiciels, d'algorithmes d'optimisation, de modèles mathématiques, mais qui vont devoir travailler en complémentarité avec des innovations vraiment technologiques au niveau des matériaux, de l'aérodynamique, de l'efficacité des moteurs. C'est souvent un mix d'innovations qui vont permettre de résoudre les grands défis.
Safer, cheaper, and above all, less polluting than current vessels, state-of-the-art cargo ships of the future will integrate the latest technological innovations and provide environmentally friendly sea transport. Every new mode of transport that we've invented has overtaken the previous one, allowing us to keep pushing the boundaries. And the world always seems to be shrinking. So what is left to discover? Naturally, space is the first thing that comes to mind.
Discovery Houston, you are go at throttle up.
Exploring the outer space to find out, among other things, whether we are alone is one of mankind's greatest dreams. And it's caught the imagination of many, to say the least. But is space really the new frontier of future transportation?
Il n'y a pas de milieu plus hostile que l'espace pour les humains. L'espace, c'est vide. L'espace, c'est froid. Et l'espace, il n'y a rien. Il n'y a pas à manger, il n'y a pas à boire, il n'y a rien. Donc vous devez amener tout. Je dis bien tout. Chaque kilogramme envoyé en orbite, $20 000. Chaque kilogramme de blindage, $20 000. 1 kilogramme d'ordinateur, $20 000. 1 kilogramme d'humain, encore plus, parce que pour 1 kilogramme d'humain, il faut amener l'eau, il faut amener l'air, il faut amener la nourriture, il faut amener les vêtements, il faut amener tout ce qui est nécessaire à sa survie. Donc au final, aller dans l'espace est difficile, et en plus, c'est difficile.
The first obstacle is to break free from gravity, which implies huge energy costs every time a rocket leaves the atmosphere. However, despite the cost, we've always dreamed of exploring Mars. The Mars One project seeks to land humans on the Red Planet by 2025 and to establish a permanent colony there, where, according to the press release, we will prosper, learn and grow, as in Total Recall, released in 1990.
For your safety and comfort, domes have been installed to protect you from the vacuum outside. Please do not touch exterior windows or airlocks.
Once Mars is colonized, we will conquer the stars, as in Christopher Nolan's Interstellar.
Next. In the colony. Thank you and enjoy your stay on Mars.
Pour l'instant, le voyage interstellaire n'est pas à l'ordre du jour, ne serait-ce que pour simplement les durées de voyage qui sont liées à la vitesse à laquelle on s'est propulsé nos vaisseaux, qui sont très faibles. Au rythme où va la sonde New Horizon, qui est l'un des objets les plus rapides que l'humanité ait jamais fabriqué, et qui a mis 9 ans pour atteindre Pluton, mettra plusieurs dizaines de milliers d'années s'il devait atteindre l'étoile la plus proche, Alpha du Centaure, qui est à peu près 4,4 années-lumière.
We will have to settle for the outskirts of our planet for a while longer. In the end, space will just be a means to make traveling on Earth faster. Before we can fly from Sydney to London in a matter of hours, suborbital flights will create a new breed of space tourists. In addition to the technological challenges and the energy cost of those flights, their advertised price, several hundreds of thousands of dollars, will make those few minutes of zero gravity inaccessible to all but an elite.
Ce que j'aimerais voir, moi, c'est que l'essentiel de l'humanité, et les super riches en particulier, parce qu'eux servent d'étalon à ce que vise la population moyenne, comprennent qu'il n'est pas raisonnable d'aller où on veut, quand on veut, à la vitesse que l'on décide.
Le fait de ne pas se déplacer énormément, mais d'être très connecté, je me demande si l'avenir de la mobilité n'est pas davantage autour de ces choses-là, plutôt qu'autour de nouvelles utopies qui nous feraient aller sur Mars ou je ne sais où.
For now, we can only count on our small planet. There are ways to protect it even as we travel. Solutions that are part of a coordinated global vision of transport, which technology will soon allow us to achieve in a world with new energy models. A world where humans will feel at home again.
I think we are moving a lot today. I think we will move less tomorrow, but it will definitely not go to zero because the world is large and there are beautiful places to see and people to be with and places to go. So I think we will always enjoy traveling and going out.